Switzerland is more than just a beautiful destination. It is a country filled with landscapes so extraordinary that they can almost feel unreal. From the waterfalls of Lauterbrunnen and villages perched high on alpine slopes to turquoise lakes reflecting snow-covered peaks, every stop seems to reveal a completely different side of Switzerland. In places like Grindelwald and Zermatt, you stand beneath some of the most dramatic mountains in Europe, while Lucerne and Bern show how historic cities can exist in perfect harmony with lakes, rivers, and the Alps. And as the journey reaches Lake Geneva, the scenery changes again, from the Riviera atmosphere of Montreux to the terraced vineyards of Lavaux overlooking the water. In this video, we will travel through 15 of the most beautiful places in Switzerland, from the valleys of the Bernese Oberland to its lakes, mountain villages, historic cities, and vineyards. Lauterbrunnen, the Valley of 72 Waterfalls. If one place could represent the Switzerland many travelers imagine, it would probably be Lauterbrunnen. The train from Interlaken gradually enters a narrow valley. On both sides, the mountains begin to rise higher. The cliffs grow steeper and steeper until, almost without warning, a wide-open landscape appears ahead. In the middle are green meadows, small wooden houses scattered about, and a church whose bell tower rises above the village. And behind it all are enormous cliffs, where streams of water plunge straight down into the valley. Lauterbrunnen is famous for its 72 waterfalls, set in a valley enclosed by the steep mountains of the Bernese Oberland, with Staubach Falls the most prominent among them. From a distance, the waterfall looks like a white ribbon dropped from the edge of the mountain. When strong winds blow, the water can even be swept into clouds of mist before reaching the ground. But Lauterbrunnen is not beautiful because of just one waterfall. What makes it special is the composition of the entire valley. You can walk along small paths through the meadows, hear cowbells in the distance, and look at houses beneath the mountains while snow still covers the high peaks at the end of the valley. There is no gigantic building and no man-made structure trying to become the center of the landscape. In Lauterbrunnen, nature completely dominates. And perhaps that is exactly why the place creates such a strange feeling. People look incredibly small. A house may seem quite large when you stand beside it, but place it beneath a cliff, hundreds of meters high, and it suddenly looks like a toy. This is also what makes Lauterbrunnen especially suited to cinematic footage. With a wide enough shot, you can see the village, meadows, waterfalls, cliffs, and distant alpine peaks, all at once. No special effects are needed. The scenery already looks unreal. Wengen, the village overlooking a fairy tale valley. From Lauterbrunnen, instead of continuing along the valley floor, we can take a mountain train up to Wengen. And after a journey that is not very long, the perspective changes completely. In Lauterbrunnen, cliffs once surrounded you. From Wengen, you stand above those cliffs and look down over the entire valley. The houses below become tiny. The railway curves along the mountainside, and the meadows spread down into the valley like a giant green carpet. Wengen is the kind of place where even sitting by a window can become a travel experience. In the morning, as sunlight begins to touch the mountains, layer after layer of scenery appears. Closest are wooden chalets, farther away are pine forests, then the Lauterbrunnen Valley, and finally, the snow-covered peaks. It is no coincidence that Wengen, Mürren, Grindelwald, and Lauterbrunnen have all become key destinations in the Jungfrau region, one of Switzerland's best-known alpine areas. Wengen does not need many attractions. Its greatest value is its location. This is a place for people who want to slow down a little, to walk, sit on a wooden bench, and watch a red train pass across the meadow. And to realize that sometimes the most memorable part of a trip is not doing as many things as possible, but simply being in the right place, one beautiful enough to make you stay. Mürren, the village perched on the alpine slope. On the opposite side of the Lauterbrunnen Valley lies another world, Mürren. The village sits high on the mountainside, facing the great peaks of the Jungfrau region. When you arrive, the first feeling is not one of being overwhelmed by scale. On the contrary, Mürren is quite small, with narrow lanes, traditional houses, flower-filled balconies in the warmer months, and fields right at the edge of the village. But you only need to look up to understand why this place is famous. Across almost the entire horizon are mountains, Eiger, Mönch, and Jungfrau. The peaks stand side by side like a gigantic wall of rock and ice. Mürren's charm lies in that contrast. A small, peaceful village facing one of the most impressive mountain landscapes in Europe. The atmosphere here also feels far less urban than at many major tourist destinations. Visiting a famous place does not mean you have to rush from one photo spot to the next. In Mürren, simply walking along the small roads outside the village is enough. Houses on one side, meadows on the other, and the Alps straight ahead. This is exactly the image of Switzerland that many people have seen on postcards and assumed was heavily edited, until they actually stand here. Grindelwald, the village, at the feet of giants. If Lauterbrunnen feels like a fairy tale valley, Grindelwald feels more powerful and dramatic. The village lies in a broad, open landscape, but directly above it rises the Eiger, one of the most recognizable mountains in the Bernese Oberland. Switzerland tourism highlights Grindelwald, Jungfrau, Interlaken, and Lake Brienz, as representative destinations in this region. What makes Grindelwald so impressive is its scale. In photos, you may notice the beautiful houses, but when you stand here, what usually draws your eyes is not the village, but the walls of rock rising behind it. The mountain slopes gain elevation so quickly that the landscape feels almost out of proportion. People are far below, the mountains tower above, and they are so large that they seem to cast a shadow over the entire valley. From Grindelwald, many visitors continue upward to Grindelwald first. As the elevation increases, the houses below begin to shrink, the fields turn into patches of green, and the roads become thin lines winding across the mountainsides. This is when you begin to understand the special structure of the Alps. It is not just one beautiful mountain, but mountain after mountain. Valleys lie between layers of mountains. Snow-covered peaks appear behind green ridges, and the higher you go, the wider the world seems to open up. If Lauterbrunnen is a place to experience from the valley floor, Grindelwald is a place where you should seek out a high viewpoint, because only from there can you grasp the full grandeur of the landscape. Jungfraujoch, entering a world of ice and snow. After the lush green villages, we continue climbing higher. Trees gradually thin out, meadows disappear, rock begins to dominate, then comes snow, and finally, you step into a world that is almost entirely white. This is Jungfraujoch. It is often called the top of Europe and is one of Switzerland's most famous mountain excursions. What stays with you is not only the destination, the journey upward is itself part of the experience. You leave the green valleys, pass through Grindelwald, and move steadily into the high mountains. Outside the window, the scenery changes continuously with the elevation, until the world of houses and meadows below seems to have disappeared entirely. At Jungfraujoch, Switzerland no longer feels gentle. This is the Alps in a wilder form, with ice, rock, snow, wind, sharp peaks, and vast sheets of ice stretching through the valleys. The Jungfraujoch region is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site and is an important glacial landscape of the Alps. Standing before enormous glaciers, it is easy to lose your sense of scale. A field of snow that seems only a few hundred meters away may in fact be vastly larger. A mountainside that looks reachable in a few minutes on foot may actually be kilometers away. And once again, Switzerland makes people feel incredibly small. Oeschinensee, a blue gem among the cliffs. If you had to choose a mountain lake whose colors make people suspect the photos have been edited, Oeschinensee would certainly be a strong contender. The lake lies above Kandersteg, surrounded by massive mountain walls. On clear days, the water can take on a blue-green, emerald-tinted color that contrasts sharply with gray rock, green forest, and white snow. But what makes Oeschinensee truly spectacular is not only the color of the water, but its setting. Imagine a gigantic basin among the mountains. The lake sits in the center. High cliffs rise behind it, and even higher are the mountain peaks. Small streams descend from the slopes like thin white threads. The higher you climb on the trails around the lake, the more impressive the view becomes. At this point, you do not just see the water, you can see the entire shape of the lake below. That is why Oeschinensee can look beautiful from the shore, but becomes spectacular when viewed from higher ground. Some landscapes make you want to move closer. Oeschinensee makes you want to step farther back. Only with enough distance can you see how the water, mountains, forest, and sky come together to form a complete picture. Lake Brienz, the turquoise lake. From the high mountain lakes, we return to lower elevations, but Switzerland's beauty does not diminish at all. Lake Brienz lies near Interlaken and is famous for its distinctive turquoise water. Switzerland tourism even highlights the water's color as one of the lake's most striking first impressions. Seen from above, Lake Brienz looks like a long ribbon of turquoise lying between two mountain slopes. Small villages line both shores, with some houses almost touching the water. Behind them come forests, and then the mountains rise higher and higher. One of the most fascinating things here is how the water changes with the light. Under cloudier skies, the lake looks deeper and colder. When the sun appears, it can brighten into an almost unreal shade of blue. You can admire Lake Brienz from the shore, but one of the best ways to experience it is from the water. From a boat, the whole space opens up. No buildings block the view, only the lake ahead, mountains on both sides, and small villages in the distance. Giesbach Falls also lies along the lake, while villages such as Brienz become natural stops along the journey. This is a gentler side of Switzerland than Jungfraujoch. There are no snowstorms or vast ice fields, only a quiet lake and mountains reflected in the water. But sometimes, it is exactly that calmness that makes the scenery even more memorable. Iseltwald, a small village by the lake. Set on Lake Brienz, Iseltwald does not need to be large to make an impression. It is the kind of village you could pass through fairly quickly if you cared only about the number of attractions. But if you are looking for a peaceful side of Switzerland, it is worth staying longer. Houses sit close to the lake, small roads run through the village, and mountains rise farther beyond. The blue water wraps around part of the settlement, making Iseltwald feel like a village poised on the boundary between land and water. Come early in the morning, before more visitors arrive, and you can clearly hear the water touching the shore. A few boats may be moored near the houses, mist sometimes still hangs over the mountains, and the first light of day reflects on the lake. There is no single dramatic moment, yet the entire scene creates a sense of peace that is hard to find in big cities. Iseltwald reminds us that Switzerland's beauty is not found only on 4,000-meter peaks. Sometimes it is simply a small village beside a lake. Interlaken, the gateway to the Bernese Oberland. Viewed on its own, Interlaken may not be as spectacular as Lauterbrunnen or Grindelwald. But when you consider the whole journey, it becomes one of the most important stops. Its name partly hints at its special location. The urban area lies between Lake Thun and Lake Brienz. From here, a network of railways and other transport routes fans out toward many famous places in the Bernese Oberland: Lauterbrunnen, Grindelwald, the Jungfrau region, Lake Brienz, and Lake Thun. Switzerland Tourism lists Interlaken together with Grindelwald, Jungfrau, and Lake Brienz among the region's representative destinations. For that reason, Interlaken feels more like a gateway than a final destination. In the morning, you can leave town for the mountains, return to the lake in the afternoon, and the next day head into an entirely different valley. This reveals one of the features that makes travel in Switzerland so appealing. The scenery changes very quickly. Distances on the map do not have to be very large. Simply crossing a mountain range or gaining a few thousand meters in elevation can make you feel as though you have entered another world. Zermatt and the Matterhorn, icons of Switzerland. Switzerland has countless mountains. But once people see the shape of the Matterhorn, many can recognize it almost without any introduction. A pyramid-shaped peak, sharply rising rock faces, and a summit standing alone on the horizon. The Matterhorn rises to 4,478 meters above Zermatt in the canton of Valais and is described by Switzerland Tourism as Switzerland's most famous landmark. What is interesting, however, is that the Matterhorn does not always look the same. In the morning, light strikes one side of the mountain. In the afternoon, the shadows shift. Sometimes clouds cover nearly the entire summit and reveal only its lower slopes. Then the wind suddenly clears them away, and the whole Matterhorn appears. In Zermatt, the mountain becomes part of everyday life. You see it while walking along the street, while sitting in a cafe, and even after hiking out of the village. Take the train up to Gornergrat, and the perspective changes again. The higher you go, the more the Matterhorn stands apart from the surrounding peaks, and the clearer its pyramid shape becomes. Some mountains are beautiful because of their height, others because of their scale. The Matterhorn is special because of its shape. It almost resembles the mountain a child might draw if asked to imagine the perfect mountain. And perhaps that is exactly why it has become one of the country's most recognizable natural symbols. Lucerne, where city, lake, and mountains meet. After many days among valleys and mountain peaks, Lucerne brings a completely different rhythm. This is a city, yet nature has not disappeared. The lake lies right beside the streets, and mountains still rise beyond the water. That combination makes Lucerne one of Switzerland's most scenically appealing cities. In the center, Chapel Bridge creates an image entirely different from the alpine villages, with historic buildings, water, bridges, and small squares. But move just a little beyond the center, and Lake Lucerne opens up, with mountains such as Pilatus and Rigi forming the city's backdrop. This makes Lucerne feel like a perfect transition point. You still have urban culture, restaurants, an old town, and architecture, but one glance into the distance and the Alps remind you that you are still in Switzerland. In the evening, when the city lights reflect on the lake, Lucerne offers a beauty that is less dramatic than Grindelwald. It is more elegant, softer, and perhaps more romantic as well. Bern, Switzerland, is more than mountains. If you only watch short videos about Switzerland, it is easy to get the impression that the country consists entirely of lakes, meadows, and snowy mountains. Bern reminds us that the story is much bigger than that. The old town, with its long rows of buildings, tiled roofs, towers, fountains, and arcaded streets, creates an entirely different atmosphere. Even more distinctive, the Aare River bends around the city center, giving Bern a shape that is instantly recognizable from above. From elevated viewpoints, you can see old rooftops covering the district, while the blue-green river wraps around the city. And when the weather is clear enough, the Alps still appear on the horizon. That is what makes it fascinating. Even when you are standing in the middle of a historic city, the mountains never truly disappear. Bern may not overwhelm visitors immediately in the way Lauterbrunnen does, but it reveals another layer of Switzerland. It is a country that not only preserves beautiful nature, but also has historic cities with a strong identity of their own. Lake Thun, the lake west of Interlaken, Interlaken lies between two lakes. If Lake Brienz stands out for its turquoise color, Lake Thun lies on the other side. Lake Thun feels more open, and its shores are lined with towns, villages, and historic buildings. Traveling across the lake, you see mountains stretching along both sides, settlements close to the shore, and the Alps rising in layers in the distance. This is one of the places that helps explain why lakes play such a major role in Switzerland's beauty. Mountains alone would already make the scenery impressive, but when water appears in front of them, the entire space seems to double. Mountains above, their reflections below, clouds in the sky, clouds mirrored on the lake, and small boats in the middle of it all. Lake Thun does not necessarily need a single check-in spot. Much of its value lies in the journey around the lake itself. Sometimes the window of a train or the deck of a boat is the best viewpoint of all. Montreux, a Swiss Riviera atmosphere. Leaving the Bernese Oberland and heading toward Lake Geneva, the scenery changes again. Montreux lies on the lakeshore at the foot of the Alps. If Grindelwald feels like a mountain village, Montreux feels more elegant and relaxed. Lakeside roads, trees, hotels, and gardens line the shore. The water is so broad that from many angles it almost resembles the sea, while mountains rise on the opposite side. The climate and scenery around Lake Geneva give this area an atmosphere quite different from the high valleys. This is no longer the Switzerland of isolated chalets beneath the mountains. It feels more like a lakeside resort. One of the most famous sites near Montreux is Château de Chillon, right beside the water, an old castle on the lake with mountains behind it. Once again, layers of scenery appear together: architecture, water, mountains, and sky. And when the late day light turns golden, Lake Geneva reflects the entire horizon. That is when Montreux reveals a very different version of Switzerland's beauty. Lavaux, terraced vineyards, overlooking Lake Geneva. Continue along Lake Geneva, and we arrive at a landscape that many people discovering Switzerland for the first time may not expect: vineyards. These are not flat fields, but vineyards arranged in terraces along the hillsides, looking down toward one of Western Europe's largest lakes. This is Lavaux. The Lavaux vineyard terraces are listed by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. As you walk through the area, you constantly encounter layered views. Nearest are rows of vines, then small villages with old rooftops. Below them, Lake Geneva, and across the water, the Alps. The scenery seems almost perfectly arranged for a landscape photograph. But Lavaux is important for another reason as well. It proves that Switzerland's beauty is not created by nature alone. Here, the landscape is the result of the relationship between people and the terrain over many generations. People did not flatten the hills, they adapted to them. Terraces follow the slopes, villages sit among the vineyards, and paths wind around the hillsides. The result is a landscape that is both natural and shaped by human hands. If Lauterbrunnen shows the power of nature, Lavaux shows how people can live with nature without necessarily destroying its beauty.